Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Starcraft 2 commentary. Today we've got a game between Whitra and JYP. In fact, not just a game, but an entire series. This is the first series I've done, so I am very, very excited. And not only is it the first series I've done, it's between two very, very pro-level games. One of the loves of my life, Whitra, as the blue Protoss player, and the fantastic JYP as the red Protoss player. So an entire mirror matchup series, including Whitra. How fantastic is that? So I'm going to bring up the production tabs, and we're going to watch the next 3 games as people build things pretty much identically, at near enough exactly the same time. Whitra the tiniest bit behind JYP. On the other hand, it might have been deliberate. Who knows? Certainly not me, I believe. Okay, so today we're on Cloud Kingdom. I've done a number of maps on Cloud Kingdom. It's a nice popular map. It's very well balanced. It's got the 2 spawn locations, you know, the top right hand corner, the bottom left hand corner, so you know where your opponent's going to be, and therefore you don't have to worry too much about finding them. Both players scouting out at near enough the exact same time, and doing and having a bit of a look around just to make sure that there's no funny business going on. Yep, literally having a look around, not going to each other's base. Okay, both coming out with a gateway, and the main difference we've got here is Whitra is coming up with an assimilator, which is a tiny bit before JYP's, which I believe has 2 assimilators. No, I lie, I completely lie. No, both sitting at 1 assimilator. Cybercore coming out and Cybercore coming out. This is going to be a fun trilogy, I must say. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I've been really pushing the StarCraft 2 stuff as much as I can, and I'd actually like to take this opportunity while we're early in the game to thank Gosugamers again, who provide all my StarCraft 2 replays. Well, not so much provide as I take, they provide, and then I cast. Just for those people who aren't keen on... I love those guys just crossing each other, missing each other by mere seconds. So, having a look, both players have got their Cybercore out, 1 gateway, a 2nd gateway, and I believe we have... No, only the 1 gateway for JYP, which is interesting, which suggests to my mind that he's going to be coming out with an expansion relatively soon. So, you know, none of this forge fast expand cheap nonsense. We're going proper games by proper players doing this properly. So perhaps some 1 base play. Again, I'd like to just emphasize that I do not watch these replays ahead, so I have no idea what's going to happen. I try not to even look at how long they're going to be, just to keep it a bit of a surprise. So JYP has got a probe scout sitting inside of Whitra's base. That's very ballsy. And JYP, this is a terrible name to call him, I'm sure he's got a much better name, JYP, sending out his Stalker and his Zealot just for a bit of scouting. Whereas Whitra just has, I believe, currently a Stalker, which is just watching out and stopping any of those probe scouts. Meanwhile, JYP's forces get a bit bigger. He's looking around for any cheesy nastiness coming from Whitra, but you know, Whitra is a bit of a gentleman, and I imagine wouldn't do that. He's going to pay properly, cricket, so on. JYP just comes along, grabs the Zelnaga tower. Interesting force. I haven't seen that many Protoss players run around with this small composition, just knocking out any potential probes. Whitra spends up his probe. So Whitra coming out with the Immortal, whereas JYP focusing primarily on Blink. Blink, a Twilight Council, which is interesting. Whereas Whitra sticking primarily Gateway unit heavy. Gateway unit composition heavier. And both players look to be staying on the one base for the foreseeable future. You wait. There's going to be a probe making an expansion right now, just to confuse and frustrate me. But you know, I can see why. I can see why the moment one of these two players decides to come up with an expansion, that is going to put them in a slightly vulnerable position, and the other player will very probably take advantage of that as quickly as it is possible to do. But you can see already that JYP's force is just that bit heavier, bit bigger. On the other hand, Whitra has come up with that Immortal. You know, just being that slightly heavier unit. I do love Immortals. I don't think they're used as often as perhaps they should be, or could be. Spotting that observer. Only an observer can spot an observer. So JYP doing a bit of a push on Whitra, and meanwhile he decides, I believe, he's about to come up with his own expansion. If he can't push and deal significant damage to Whitra, he has to come up with his own expansion. Otherwise, he's just going to fall too far behind. So just in general with the casting, I have tried to prevent myself going too often, because I'm aware that does irritate people, and I'm very aware that me going or whilst thinking has been irritating people, and I've tried to reduce that as much as I possibly can, even if that means just taking a break and pausing like that every now and again rather than making a noise. I hope it's appreciated. I genuinely do. So I just did both of them, one after one another. Fantastic. So JYP pushing in with his Stalker force, hoping to deny this expansion. If he can take down this expansion or do a significant amount of damage to the probes, that will just put him in that much stronger position. Because right now he isn't, so he's currently pushed all the probes off the line, which are going to go down to his expansion. And I believe he does have that blink, which just means he's just that bit faster and can get out that a little bit better. And although he hasn't done a huge amount of damage, he has prevented a lot of mining. He's put a lot of mining downtown, and I suppose now he's decimating the probe force. Now just looking at the units lost tab, JYP significantly behind, almost triple behind that of Whitra, which is fairly far behind. I mean, particularly as he has not got his expansion saturated, that although Whitra had to take his probes off the line, you know, JYP hasn't got any on there yet. Now does, you know, at the 10-minute mark. So that has put Whitra significantly ahead. And I really would not be surprised if we see Whitra attempt to push out and take out that expansion. And if he manages to take that expansion out, he will pretty much have the GG. Again, in return, taking those probes off the line, JYP just pulling back, just trying to prevent any reinforcements coming through, and out comes this warp prison. The warp prison, of course, being able to rather fantastically warp in units. So Whitra takes out the expansion. So now Whitra's on 2 expansions, those to JYP's none. And whilst that's not impossible for him to pull back out, he's highly oversaturated, and I mean, he didn't lose any of his main gateway buildings, but in terms of economy, he's now so far behind it. Isn't it funny? I really wouldn't be surprised at this point if we see Whitra decide to push out and make a 3rd expansion of his own. Either that, or he may just build up a reasonably large force and then just hit JYP on the head with like a little puppy dog, or some such. So JYP coming out with a pylon, hoping to come out with his expansion again. I again don't think it's going to be successful, but he may be able to defend it with his particular force. Whitra just concerned of just hunting down these handful of stalkers, and I'm going to assume that they know that there is an observer following their every move. JYP, of course, has a pylon in position, so he can warp in units ready to attack Whitra at any stage. And there's a significant amount of movement. JYP coming out with this expansion again. You know, it's still 3 minutes later, and Whitra is just that little bit further ahead. He's got more units. He's got more income. He has, I don't think more gateways 4 compared to. He's got 3 and 2 more on the way through, but surely he'll have more gateways. But that's okay because he's had, well, he hasn't necessarily had more time to warp in, but he's had more resources to. Whereas poor JYP is suffering a bit. He still won't have his expansion up to around the 15-minute mark, and then he'll barely get it saturated if then. Now JYP has his own observer, which he's using to take out this pylon, which will be used to spot if any stalkers decide to jump up. JYP keeping just a little eye on the Xel'Naga Tower, watching out for pushes, but I think Whitewire is a little bit content. He's content to hold on this position and sit on it a little bit. JYP finally saturating again at the 15-minute mark. You know, that has put him 5 minutes behind. In these short 5, 10, 15-minute games, 5 minutes behind is significantly far behind. JYP does have a significant force running around. I mean, he's only sitting at 90 supply, but he has forces covering everywhere. He's got eyes on Xel'Naga towers. He's got pylons and probes everywhere. He's got eyes and ears everywhere. Whitera tries to take the Xel'Naga tower. Fails at that quite miserably. On the other hand, his force is significantly ahead and is going to remain significantly ahead for a while. A bit frustrated, I must confess, that Whitera didn't decide to expand while he had the opportunity. He's had 6 minutes to expand and hasn't done so, but instead has just focused on building his army up and up and up, and his the army tab. Sorry, not the army tab, the units tab. Yeah. Whitera is sitting significantly ahead, 2 Colossus each. Whitera's got 3 Immortals as opposed to 2, 15 as opposed to 11 Zealots. You know, it is. Sorry, I got carried away watching this attack. You know, he's got about a 30%, 40% larger army, and that's just going to be enough to force JYP to call the good game. However, this is a best of 3 series, I believe. There are 3 in the game, so I'm going to assume Whitewire will lose the next one. If he won't, I'll swap them around, you'll never know. Okay, thank you very much, and if you enjoy series, if you enjoy watching these multiple battle stories, let me know. These multiple episode stories, let me know, and I'll continue with them. Or if you prefer to have just one-offs, then we'll continue that. And if you don't like to see ZVZs and TVTs, then just let me know and I'll stop them. I know that I've seen on a lot of other channels people have been crying out to see more series of these kinds of mirror matchups, and that hasn't necessarily been met. But on the other hand, it might be just because they're unpopular. Let's find out. Okay, I shall see you guys tomorrow with Game 2.